Can I ask all members, when you speak, to always use your microphone and remember to switch it off when you are finished. I will now ask the Mayor's chaplain to lead prayers.
O God, you are the source.
For the forthcoming year. Wasn't that on? It's a role steeped in history. Boston's first citizen and Admiral of the Wash. Boston is recognised for many things: the birthplace to the American city Boston, USA, and its connection to the Pilgrim Fathers and the Mayflower. Before that, the Hanseatic League, basically a common market circa 13th century of Baltic seaports and towns. Today, noting our past history, we still have our heritage preciously saved in our old buildings: the Stump, the Guildhall, Fidle House, and many more, to remind us of the value of Boston and what it has to offer our residents and visitors. For me, I have known Boston all my life. I was born in Donington, Northorpe, on my father's farm, and at 1 year old, my father sold up and we moved to Curtin. Even at a young age, I was visiting Boston regularly, even more so at the age of 11 when I started at Boston Grammar School. An hour and a half lunch break was a long time for a kid, especially in winter, so we would go off and explore the town. That was when the history lesson first started. We explored the Guildhall, old warehouses, the fishing fleet, and anything of importance or administration. Now, more than 50 years has passed, I'm still enjoying this wonderful town. Admiral of the Wash. Now is the time to plug my charitable venture, a trip out to the Wash on the Boston Belle. Please keep an eye out for tickets being on sale in the end of July. My chosen charities this year will be RNLI and the Salvation Army. I chose the Salvation Army because of the kindness and help they gave to my grandfather. The RNLI will also come in handy if anything happens on the trip out to the Wash on the Boston Belle. Finally, I've also indicated that during my mayoral year, I would like the town to improve its efforts in integration, footfall, and retail. I already see improvements being made, and I wish the new council every success in achieving this. Thank you very much. Oh. Item B on the agenda is the appointment of Deputy Mayoress. No, I've missed one, yes. I will now, oh, so right, okay. So I will now ask my sister, Mrs. Linda Fable, to come forward to receive the Mayoress's badge of office. Yes, yeah. Item B on the agenda is the appointment of Deputy Mayoress. Having elected the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Richard Austin, to office on the 25th of May 2023, I will now ask Councillor Alison Austin to come forward to receive the Deputy Mayoress chain of office. Item C on the agenda is to receive apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 apologies this evening from councillors Izard, Ariambath and Bedford. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a vote of thanks for the retiring Mayor. I will now ask Councillor Patsy Marsden to propose a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor, Councillor Anne Dorian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 1 year ago, I was witness to Anne Dorian taking up the role of Mayor of Boston. I recall turning to a friend and commenting, positive changes is ahead for Boston. Anne Dorian was elected at a time where Boston was in a dark place. It was desperate. Need of spark, a beacon of light to bring pride and hope back into this once great town. Slowly but steadily, you began to spark everything back into life. Jubilee Street parties, bonding neighbours together, care homes, making the elderly feel valued, school visits, educating our youth, Santa's Grotto, bringing a smile to the faces of children, Xmas lights, bringing good cheer to our town in a time of need, Mayor's Parlour, offering a cup of tea to anybody who needed one. Personally, I will always remember Xmas Day at the Centenary Church, where you offered support to those in need, making a massive difference to the people on such a special day. Who could ever forget the beaming smile on Joe's face when he emerged from the chambers dressed as the Mayor, a day a lot of us will never forget. Your selflessness offered yourself to the town, selflessly offered yourself to the town whenever called upon to do so. If your attendance was requested, you were there to assist and reassure people. I have been fortunate to have known Anne for 42 years. I knew her tenure as town mayor would bring something special to the people of Boston. And the positive impact you have made on behalf of the people of Boston is something for you to be extremely proud of, because we are. You have inspired so many people to strive for better, so much so that we have a wave of councillors that have taken up position in order to continue your ideals, kindness and vast knowledge, which you pass on to everybody you meet. I would like to offer a massive thank you on behalf of the councillors, the staff and the people of Boston for the job you have done. You have provided a base from us to work from to help the town move forward and never backwards. You have shown great kindness and brought back belief and hope to our community. You started with a spark, turned into a beacon of light, and now hand it over to the next mayor in order to show the same courage as you have in making a change for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marsden. Do you have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Broughton. I would now like to, are you all agreed? Okay. I would like to present the past mayor's badge and borough plaque to the retiring mayor. Oh. It's your speech now. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Marsden, for those lovely words. I have known Patsy for 42 years. I used to be her PE teacher. She was Patsy Fletcher back then, and she was blonde and lithe and tanned because she just came back from Saudi Arabia. But she was as headstrong then as she is today. So welcome to the council. Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you and I find myself filled with a mixture of emotion. I feel both joy and gratitude, intertwined with a hint of nostalgia, as I reflect upon the delightful year when I had the privilege to serve as your mayor. The whole journey was nothing short of extraordinary, and it's been an honour to have been the first citizen of this incredible town and borough. It's a bittersweet feeling for me in the sense that while I had the best year of my life, it's something which I'm happy to pass on to Councillor Brown. Because it's right that each and every one of you who've been elected get the opportunity to experience this wonderful role if the public re-elect you. And I wish you well, Mr. Mayor. I hope you have a fantastic year. I must pay a huge tribute to my husband, David Middleton, who was a tower of strength throughout the year and who patiently accepted every invitation that was extended to him. My children, John Paul and Michaela, were full of encouragement too, and I was proud as punch when my wee mammy came all the way from Ayrshire with my sisters to attend my Mayor Sunday. Throughout my tenure, I was privileged to witness firsthand the immense power of unity within many of our communities and the bond woven amongst us by the threads of togetherness is the essence of the community cohesion that is the driving force behind the success of our local groups and communities. Now, as you know, at the beginning of the year, the Mayor usually nominates 2 charities, and I chose Boston Food Bank and Guide Dogs for the Blind. However, I quickly realised that just handing over a cheque for a sum of money didn't matter how modest or how much. For me, my role would reap far greater rewards if I could shine a spotlight on the good work that those charities do on a daily basis. Now, some mayors go into the year wanting to raise the most money ever, and that's how they judge their success. But I firmly believe that the true measure of a thriving community lies in the unwavering commitment of its members to one another. Fundraising, whilst it's important, often detracts from the immense value of collective action. So, for example, I was delighted when the local Sea Cadet unit, along with the Police Cadet unit, worked together to organise a food drive at Asda and managed to collect donations amounting to over 300 kilograms in weight, as well as some monetary contributions. So it's that kind of thing that drove me more, rather than just rattling a tin and collecting donations of monetary value. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the clergy and the staff from the Stump. And I'm glad you've stayed tonight for this, Sally, because they extended their hand of friendship and they worked tirelessly with me to deliver my vision of an inclusive and welcoming mayoralty. Nothing was ever too much trouble, even the ABBA soundtracks that they would play in the Stump. And I'm very grateful for that. I met several members of the clergy during the year, Jane and Sally from the Stump, Liz from Holy Trinity, Val and Anne from the Methodist Church, Michelle from the Salvation Army, and Sue she was a vicar from Bicker. And I have to say that the female priests are a real credit to our town. From day one, my aim was to be as inclusive as possible and to open up the mayoralty in a way which had never been done before. So it was incredibly important to me that I was seen as accessible, welcoming, and that the invitations to my events reached far and wide. And similarly to the Asda good news story, my Christmas reception achieved a similar outcome when guests brought over 150 kilograms of donations with them, which helped the food larder at the food bank. And then this spring, I was thrilled to bits when another community organisation under the leadership of Councillor Welbury came forward and arranged a vintage fashion show in the Stump, raising £1,910 for my charities. Thank you for that, Suzanne. And it was through that spirit of volunteering that we found the real magic of humanity, the ability to touch lives and build bridges between diverse individuals. I must speak tonight about volunteers. I would like to express my deepest appreciation to those within our community who have tirelessly dedicated their time, many of them over countless years. The number of people I met, Samaritans who'd been doing it for 40 years, cub leaders who'd been doing that role for 35 and 40 years. And through their work, they make this borough thrive. They are the unsung heroes. They're the backbone of this town and borough. And as a direct result of their selflessness, the lives of our residents are much richer for it. I cannot close without mentioning what was a pivotal moment in the history of the United Kingdom, and that was the death of Queen Elizabeth II. I started my mayoral year enjoying and helping our community celebrate her jubilee. And of course, then we had her death. The passing of such an iconic figure was not only a moment of profound sadness, but also a time that brought out the resilient spirit and solidarity of local communities across the country. As you know, she was the longest reigning monarch in British history, and she left an indelible mark on the nation and its people. I was truly honoured to play a part in the public declaration of the accession of King Charles III, and I have put plans in place to ensure that that event has been recorded for future generations of Bostonians. Lastly, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the remarkable staff in the council who work diligently day in and day out. But there's two people in particular whose lives become so interwoven with the mayor during the year that it begins to feel that they are part of your family. And those are, of course, Alison and Andy. Their unwavering dedication and passion to ensuring that the mayoralty is held in the highest esteem have truly made a huge difference to the success of my year. And together, I like to think the three of us have strived to create an environment where every resident felt welcome, valued and heard. And they felt that the mayoralty belonged to them. So I would like you to come forward and receive a gift from me. But in closing, I just want to express once again my profound gratitude to everyone who's contributed to helping me have a successful year and supported me throughout the remarkable journey. Thank you very, very much. But would Alison and Andy come forward, please? I didn't wrap this. And you don't have to wait till Christmas to open it. Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is, well, that's one of the other ones, isn't it? Yes, if followed by a presentation of past consort badge to Councillor David Middleton, please. The next item on the agenda is a vote of thanks for the retiring Deputy Mayor. I will now ask the retiring Mayor, Councillor Ann Dorian, to move a vote of thanks to the retiring Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, unfortunately, the retiring Deputy Mayor couldn't be here today. Brian Rush, was Councillor Rush, no longer, was a tower of strength to me. I didn't give him a lot to do, actually, because I was enjoying my year so much, but he did step in when I was ill or something came up that we had to attend somewhere else. So I'm hugely grateful to Brian and his wife, Jane, and would formally move this vote of thanks to him. And I've got his gift, but I didn't bring it with me. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Brosnan. Right, now we come to the Mayor's Scout and Mayoress Guide. I now move on to the appointment of the Mayor's Scout and Mayoress's Guide. Mayor's Scout. Exempt information. Item 1 is to resolve to go on to exempt session. This will only be required should members wish to discuss the exempt minute at item 2 of the meeting on the 25th of May. Can I ask if any members wish to discuss the exempt minute? Councillor Woodliff.
Whether or not it's accurate when it says it was proposed by Councillor Dave Brown and seconded by Councillor Stephen Woodliff. That's 102. Is that accurate? I thought that's a change to be made there. Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Woodliff, sorry, just for clarity, we're not actually talking about the minutes at the moment. We're just inquiring whether members wish to talk about that particular exempt item in the minutes, and if so, we will have to ask press and public to leave the meeting. So
I understand that, but I mean, I'm not discussing the minutes. I'm discussing something else about it. Yeah.
That opportunity will follow once we've decided whether we need to move into exempt session.
Well, I'll leave it as it is because we don't want to turf people out, do we? Really, be rather unreasonable. So we'll just have to accept it. I think there's an error there, though.
Okay. So prior to seeking your approval to sign the minutes of the previous meetings, I have been advised of a small amendment to be made to the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of May. Councillor Staples seconded the appointment of Councillor Richard Austin as Deputy Mayor and not Councillor Woodliff. With that amendment, are you content that I sign the minutes as a correct record? You are. Agreed. We're all agreed, yes? Okay, that's what we'll do. Item 3 on the agenda is communications. Are there any communications?
There are none, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any deputations and petitions?
No, there are none, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 5 is questions from elected members. I can confirm we have 2 questions. Can I invite Councillor Claire Rylott to ask her question, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Leader, on the 19th of January, Boston Borough Council received a letter from the Department for Levelling Up, Housing and Community. The council were informed that they had been successful in their Levelling Up Fund application for the Rosegarth Square Master Plan, a sum of just under £15 million. Could you please give members an update on the progress of this project?
Will you please respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Rylott. As you've rightly stated, the council received notification of its successful bid in January. Since then, officers have been working with the Department of Levelling Up, Housing and Communities, as well as other partner agencies and stakeholders, to mobilise delivery of the projects which formed the bid. As I'm sure you'll appreciate, until the council had received formal confirmation of the funding delivery and associated agreements with government, it would not have been prudent to commit significant council resources. In addition, the local elections added further complexity to this and the ability to keep members and the public updated. However, I'm pleased to confirm that the memorandum with government has been signed, returned and agreed. The council has had its inception meeting with civil servant colleagues. The first round of monitoring and evaluation has been returned. The first tranche of funding, around £1.8 million, has been received. Positive discussions have been held with the YMCA, who are immensely keen to progress their project and are gearing up internal and external teams. Positive discussions have been held with private landowners and their representatives regarding B&M, or what was B&M, and Crown House. The council has begun to mobilise to bring in additional capacity and staffing resource to manage the project development and delivery. An update on progress has been given to the latest Boston Town Deal Board, as well as updates to the Community Leaders Forum and Primary Care Network. We've just received our next monitoring and evaluation request for a meeting with civil servants and anticipate a second tranche of funding to be received over the summer. The entire Cabinet has been brought up to speed with the project and its aims, and I'm pleased to say we continue to support this investment, which could be transformational for this part of town. I've also had the benefit of a walkabout tour of the site in order to discuss the plans in great detail, and I'm incredibly keen to see progress on the ground as soon as possible, and that's a view I've shared with the officer team. I'm also pleased to say, as indicated by part of a later report on the agenda, officers have held considerably positive discussions with NHS colleagues in relation to linked developments of a potential community diagnostic centre, which would complement the Levelling Up Fund projects, and also the potential delivery of a new health facility for Boston, which could be co-located within the P21 area. And if these initiatives come to fruition, they will make an enormously positive impact on the residents of Boston Borough. As you know, during the first week of this administration, I reached out to you and other group leaders, offering a genuinely open dialogue for any matter which comes before this council. Other group leaders have taken advantage of that in the spirit in which it was offered, and I look forward to you eventually taking up this offer too. In the meantime, both myself and our officers will continue to keep all members appraised of developments at relevant stages. There's other points to note. The original bid was submitted in July 2022, but the decision announcement was delayed by government. Delays in the memorandum of understanding and funding being pushed out were due to government. Detailed design work on the public realm is required. Community engagement will be undertaken as the projects progress, and the Levelling Up partnership due to kick off in December. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dorian. Councillor, sorry, excuse me. Councillor Ryder, do you have a supplementary question, please?
Thank you, Madam Leader, for your in-depth response. It is fantastic news for the town that the project is starting to take shape. We have only had the opportunity to meet so far at a group leaders meeting, but I would be delighted to have the opportunity to have a meeting with yourself. I will be in touch and I have no further questions.
I'd now, excuse me, I'd now like to invite Councillor Danny to ask his question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a point of order before we start. I just want to ask Councillor Sandeep Ghosh why you have your hat on, just as a matter of respect to this room. That's fine. Thank you. Just need to. Thank you. My question to Madam Leader is, can you please tell us how much money have you raised for your chosen charities during your mayoral year? Thank you.
Yes. Councillor Dorian, will you please respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you chair this meeting admirably well without the need of assistance from any members of your Conservative group. Thank you to Councillor Danny for notice of your question. If you'd listened earlier, you would have heard £1,910 has been raised for my chosen charities, plus nearly 500 kilograms of food has been collected and donated to Boston Food Bank. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Dorian, do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Danny?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, but I'm Mr. Councillor Danny, not Councillor Dorian. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I have a secondary question, but it's more like a point of view. I was called by our leader as a dreadful mayor during my mayoral year.
No, it's not a question. That's a statement.
So, my question is, I have raised over £5,178 in less than a year. And I've been called a dreadful mayor by you and supported by one of your colleagues. Would you please explain to me why you call me a dreadful while I visited the mosques, I give money to charities by myself, I visited care homes, I did more what I can chew. In our manners and our principles, we say what the right gives, the left shouldn't know. So I don't have to go to people and tell them why did you call me a dreadful mayor? Thank you.
Do you wish to answer that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you know what? This evening is about you, Councillor Brown. It's about your mayoralty. It's about your mayor making, your guests who've come along to support you this evening. I could wipe the floor with you, Councillor Danny, and would enjoy every second. But out of deference to the mayoralty and this man's special night, I'm saying nothing more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dorian. Do you have, what is a big question? Do we have a question from a member of the public? There, yes, right. Just getting you a microphone. Are you happy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You
Claire
better start.
Elwood. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Izzard on being appointed to the Cabinet and as representative of the Council for the Boston Woods Trust. We look forward to welcoming you to our meetings. The Boston Woods Trust is a local charity that was established in 2001. The trust is run entirely by volunteers and relies on donations and grants for funding. Since being established about 20 years ago, it has created 3 large country parks and nature reserves on the outskirts of Boston, with virtually no cost to the council. They are the Joseph Banks Country Park, the Fenside Woods, and now Dion's Wood Nature Reserve. In the same period of time, the Borough has also created Witham Way Country Park, Havenside Country Park, and the Old Cemetery. The Boston Woods sites are open to the public throughout the year, 7 days a week, free of charge. They're very well used and contribute significantly to the health and well-being of the population and visitor economy. However, the Borough pays for the emptying of the bins in the borough's parks, but charges the Boston Woods Trust for emptying their bins. The Boston Woods Trust asked Andy Izzard if the annual charge to the Trust of £2,632 for emptying the bins be found from borough finances. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 2 names written down here. Is this your department, Callum? I'll now invite Councillor Callum Butler to respond.
Thank you. I'm answering this on because Andy isn't here tonight. Firstly, I'd like to express the council's thanks to the Woods Trust for all they and other volunteer groups and organisations do within the borough to create a more welcoming and attractive environment. Where a charity requests the council provide waste collection from its premises, then a collection charge is made in line with the Controlled Waste Regulations 2012. All charities in the borough are treated in the same way to ensure the council is acting with fairness, transparency and consistency. In 2008, the Boston Woods Trust were funded by Boston Borough Council to the tune of £50,000, a figure that could be hardly described as virtually no cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Butler. Do you have a secondary question?
Firstly, I would like to set the record straight. Boston Woods Trust did not receive £50,000 from the Boston Borough Council in 2008. I want to point out that the rubbish collected from the Boston Woods sites have been generated by local residents and visitors. None has been the result of the work of the charity, and I feel that this is a significant difference to the situation to the other charities. I should also like to point out that money spent on rubbish collection is money no longer available for furthering the work of the Boston Woods Trust. And I ask in view of this that the council would review their decision. Thank you.
Councillor Butler, do you wish to respond?
I've got nothing further to say at present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Rob, are we the end of the meeting, aren't we? Okay, yes. Yes. Okay, item 7 is declarations of interest. Can I ask if any member has any declarations of interest they wish to declare? Okay, so we now move on to appointment to external bodies. We will now move the business part of the meeting, and the first item as is the appointment of external bodies. I will now pass to the monitoring officer, John, who will present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members. The report before you is to make appointments to two external bodies, but there are 3 seats that we're going to appoint to tonight. The first of those is the Black Sluice Drainage Board, who advised that there's a further remaining seat which the council can make an appointment. So can I ask from members whether there are any nominations for that seat? Thank you. Councillor Dorian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to nominate is this the Black Sluice? Yeah, Councillor Neil Drayton to this drainage board, and I'd look for a seconder.
I second it.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations?
No, just a bit, John.
It was Councillor Drayton has been nominated. Councillor Woodliff.
Thank you, John. I'd like to nominate Councillor Ralph Pryke as for the Black Sluice.
Right, okay, do you have a seconder? Okay, seconded by Mike Gilbert.
Are there any further nominations? Okay, so we have 2 nominations. We'll go to the vote, which the Democratic Services team will undertake. So we've got 2 nominations, one for Councillor Drayton and one for Councillor Pryke.
Thank you. If you could please raise your hand in favour for Councillor Drayton.
It's clearly carried.
Thank you. And all those in favour of Councillor Pryke?
Councillor Drayton has it.
Thank you. And any abstentions? Are there any abstentions, Councillor Austin? No. Thank you. Councillor Neil Drayton has been appointed to Black Sluice.
Okay, thank you. That was Councillor Neil Drayton's been appointed. I'll move on to the remaining 2 seats to be appointed to. These are both on the Health Scrutiny Committee for Lincolnshire. So we're appointing both to the seat on the body and to the substitute/replacement member. So I'm going to start with the seat actually on the committee, not the replacement member. Can I call for any nominations for that seat? Thank you. Councillor Dorian.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor Suzanne Welbury to the seat on the Health Scrutiny Board. Thank you. And look for a seconder.
Yeah, dear. Thank you. I'm stolen my thunder there.
Are there any further nominations? Okay. If I could ask Pippa if you would take the vote for us. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour for Councillor Welbury?
That's a vote.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's clearly carried. And the final appointment tonight is for the replacement member on the Health Scrutiny Committee for Lincolnshire. Can I call for nominations, please? Councillor Dorian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate a substitute for this committee, Councillor Lena Sivikiani, and look for a seconder.
Do we have a seconder? Barry Pearpoint.
Okay, so that's been proposed and seconded. Are there any further nominations? No. Okay. If we could go to the vote, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour for Councillor Vickeen?
Clearly carried.
That's clearly carried, Chair, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, John. Funding for Boston Integrated Health and Care Centre. The next item this evening is the funding for Boston Integrated Health and Care Centre. I will now pass to Councillor Doran, who will present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A bit of good news for a change for this council. We've been offered a large sum of money without actually having to go and bid for it. It's an important sum of money. It's £650,000, and it's from the NHS to work alongside the Lincolnshire Integrated Care Board with a view to working up a business case and a strategy that would support the delivery of a new health facility within Boston Borough. This is something that's much needed and that our residents would benefit from. The main aim would be to deliver primary care facilities, but it would also encompass other healthcare as well. And we got the money earlier on in the year. However, due to the pre-election period, when we couldn't discuss things that might affect the outcome of the election, our officers entered into an informal deal with the NHS. So moving forward, we would look to appoint consultants, and that is already in train. But we formally need to ask Council for their agreement to accept this grant funding of £650,000 and note the recommendations on page 6, please. So there's not really a lot to say on it. We haven't developed it any further than that so far. It's something that it's at its inception, but we do need Council's approval. Moving on from this, if you do accept this funding, then it would become a cabinet decision. This is merely a business case and would not involve us actually building this facility. That would fall to the NHS. We would just be working in partnership to make it happen. So I'll leave it there for now, Mr. Mayor, and look for a seconder. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Baxter, thank you. Does anyone wish to speak? Were you first? Which one of you two were first? Do you want to take it in turns?
Please, I think you'd rather beat me to it. Well, obviously, we're going to vote for this because it's money from government. Never turn down any money from the government. It's hard enough to get any money out of them. So I'm going to support it. But I have one or two concerns about this. And really, I suppose the thing is, it's the speed at which it's happened. Now, I appreciate, of course, that we were in an election situation, so of course we couldn't have committees to discuss it. But there is no, as it says on page 15, a report on this item has not previously been considered by a council body. So we need to rectify that. We'll need to have some form of scrutiny of this. This money is really for a business case before we go ahead. I'd like to be sure that actually we're not being expected to make a financial commitment as well as we move forward, because I think this will be on a car park. I think it's planned for the car parking area. Is it? I can't remember the name of the car parking area. Well, yeah, I think it's a car parking area. Now, obviously, that land is our property. So if we're not being asked to make a financial commitment, then I'm not sure we should be supplying free land. That's the real thing about it. But I would like to be assured that there will be some form of scrutiny with this. Perhaps my colleague on my left-hand side will be seeing to that. Possibly, yeah. You'll be speaking in a minute, won't you? Yes. So, well, I need to make sure it's well scrutinised. I want to be sure that actually, it is actually NHS money that's being spent. We've got plenty of it, and that our financial commitment is limited. We need to know that in advance. So it's the business case we're discussing tonight, creating the money for the this facility. The money comes for that, for creating the business case. I want to be sure there are no further, commitments built into this before we know what we're doing. So that's my concern. Apart from that, fine, I shall vote for the money. I think everybody else will. I vote for the money. Always vote for money from the government. Never turn that down. Thank you much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodliff.
Okay, it's all yours.
Who is that?
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Gleeson.
again, like Councillor Woodliff, I welcome this. This money actually is only to enable the looking into whether we're going to do anything. So I'm happy at this stage. It doesn't need scrutiny, and obviously what rolls forward will as needed. My one concern is that the section of the report referring to staffing, in that we don't assign any cost to our staff. It is an in kind. But my one concern is, I mean, since I've come back onto the council, it is very apparent that our staff across the partnership are working really hard. They are delivering great value and service to the council, but they are being far too far stretched. And to say that we're going to do this out of an in kind of make up from the LUF, the LUF, I'm just concerned. So I would like to see, come back to this council, some report about how much of our staff time was used and how much that cost. Because at some stage, the band is going to break. It is being stretched far too long. You know, we do need to support our staff. We do need to enable them to do the good job that they do, and piling work on top of them and more work on top of them isn't fair. And we do need to make sure that we as councillors are ensuring they are getting a good deal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Pryke. Have you got your mic?
There is no microphone.
Yes, please, mic.
Oh, there is, surprising. Sorry. Okay, my question is related to the other two beforehand. We can take it from this report that Boston Council has not paid any money for this so far and has not been asked for any money for it so far. It looks as if we're going to be expected to put in some officer time, as my colleague has spoken, to progress this, and the ICB will no doubt keep us all fully informed about that. And our officers will no doubt keep us fully informed about how many hours by how many people is engaged on this. So we would like updates on this as often as possible, please, Leader. My worry is that similar projects like this elsewhere have involved a great deal of officer time and expenditure by the relevant councils. And it would be helpful to scrutiny and to us as a council if our officers could research what has happened elsewhere with similar projects to this and how much councils have actually ended up having to pay for it. We welcome the project, obviously, because it's for the benefit of the people, but we want to go into it with our eyes open. So future reports, frequent future reports, would be very welcome, please.
Thank you, Councillor Pryke. Do you wish to respond to any of these? We've got Alison. Yes, you were. Yes, what? Councillor Austin. I know, but Councillor Austin did put her hand up first.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, thank you. For the sake of people behind me, I'm of course here in this spot because I think we're a bit short of space elsewhere, and it's been extremely difficult hearing this evening. I want to just say, though, that there's two things. First of all, there's that saying about we don't look a gift horse in the mouth, or whatever the exact wording is, and the importance, of course, for our residents or for our borough is health. It's one of the most important things for the well-being, for the economy of the whole area. But most of now what I said, I think, has been said, but I really do concur about this need for scrutiny, please. Scrutiny at all stages. And when the Cabinet has meetings, obviously, any of us elected members can go and sit in on a scrutiny, on a Cabinet meeting and a well-run cabinet meeting will invite them to speak if necessary. So I would like to think that this will happen in this case so that we can all, when I say all elected members and the people, therefore, that we represent, because it's not just for us, it's for the people of the borough. So yes, we welcome this. And let's hope we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. Where is he? Councillor Gilbert, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I did indicate. Thank you very much. I echo everything that's been said already by everybody else. Obviously, we can't look a gift horse in the mouth. This is money that we weren't expecting. But reference has been made to periodic scrutiny, and I just wonder what the timescales are involved in this project, because clearly I couldn't see from the very detailed documentation that I've read any timescales referred to. And timescales, I think, are quite an important way of ensuring that due diligence is undertaken. So that's my question.
Thank you, Councillor Gilbert. Do you wish to respond to any of this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I will take the points as they were raised this evening. Councillor Woodliff, I wholeheartedly endorse what you say about scrutiny. It's my aim, and you know this, is to work as collegiately as possible across the chamber. And to that end, I would, of course, welcome scrutiny. I see scrutiny as fulfilling the role of a critical friend rather than being a punch and judy show, as has been in the past. So, of course, I would welcome close scrutiny. But what is it you're going to scrutinise? We need, initially, this proposal to be worked up. And then, of course, if that was to involve the council allowing anything to be built on our land, that of course would be a matter for the whole council to decide on, having it gone through scrutiny and cabinet beforehand. And you're quite right, Councillor Woodliff, it is the car park that the proposal may be built on, this new health facility. And if you all know where the Len Medlock Centre is, it would be behind there. As you stand at the front door of the Len Medlock Centre looking at it, it would be sort of behind there and to the right somewhat. We are desperately short of healthcare facilities. You all know how difficult it is sometimes to get a GP appointment, and part of the proposals would be to make some of this building at least a new GP facility, I believe. So that's got to be a good thing for our residents. Now, I'll speak to the staffing and the in-kind support mentioned by Councillor Gleeson. You'll see in your document that in the report, Councillor Gleeson, that we can use some of the funding of the £650,000 to recompense this council for our officer time. However, the point you make about the elastic band being stretched is well made, and I have made a note of that. And I will make sure that myself and the Chief Executive keep a very close eye on the staff who are involved in the project. But I think the main idea is that consultants are appointed to work up the initial stages of this project. To your point, Councillor Pryke, about researching other councils, I think that's a self-defeating proposal because what you end up doing is giving your officers more work. In actual fact, if you look at page 9, 2.7, it does tell you that some of the funding can be used to offset the cost of officer time. I don't see the point in researching other councils. And as to the timescale, Councillor Gilbert, again, that's in your report. We want the work to commence by late summer, and the funding has to be spent in the next financial year. So it's a very, very quick turnaround. So with that, I hope I've covered all your points. If not, please do speak to me about that. But thank you, Mr. Ray, for your indulgence.
Thank you, Councillor Doran. Councillor Danny, did you wish to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, just a point of clarification, Madam Mayor, if you're aware that, Madam Leader, that if you're aware that it was an ad on the Boston page looking for place management position, is that one of the part which is this money will go to? Thank you.
Do you wish to respond to that?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I've no idea. Our procurement team are managing the process of finding the consultants. I believe we've had 10, I think it says in the report, 10 good bids in so far. And the procurement team will run that whole process without any input from elected members, as it should be. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dorian, does anybody else wish to speak? Right. Yeah, we're voting on this. Are we voting on this? Right, well, who seconded it? Right, okay. Right, we'll go to the vote. So those in favour? That's clearly carried. Thank you. That concludes the business of the meeting. I would ask that you all remain seated for a few